Once you've made a shop drawing of a piece, you often want to transfer those dimensions directly to the part. Now, some of our machines do have digital indicators on them. Will let you do the dimensioning as you cut the part, but it's often good to have guidelines to kind of make sure you double check yourself where those dimensions are. So we're going to start with a block of aluminum, and remember our original block was larger, but we're going to indicate the location of these 3 holes as an example on this smaller block of aluminum. First thing that we want to do anytime we're going to transfer dimensions to a part, we want to use a blue layout fluid. This one's called Dicom, a real common one. Comes with a brush-on applicator. You want a nice, even, smooth coat. You'll let that dry for 10 or 15 minutes till it's dry to the touch. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off, and we've got a section already done here. So as I start to do these, I'm going to scribe into this part my dimensions. It's a good idea to pick, just like when we did a drawing, pick 2 sides to be our standard sides. So I'm always going to take my measurements off of the end and one side of the piece. If you start taking them off both sides, you can throw the part off just by little errors here and there. So the first thing I want to do, since these parts are all on center line, is I want to indicate my center of the part. Easiest way to do this is to take our dial calipers. We're going to measure this. We're going to take half the dimensions, and 375. And notice here at the top we have a little screw. This is a thumb lock. And what this does is allows us to lock down the slide. Remember, this one at the bottom is to adjust our dial. This one at the top is to lock it into position. So once we do that, we're going to set one jaw along the outside edge, scribe down the center, and we should see now a nice bright silver line in the blue. All right, so that's the center line of our part. That represents where we drew on this center line. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to look for that first dimension, which was 375 thousandths. So we actually already have it set at that. We lock our hand wheel down again. We go to the end of the part. We make a scribe across. On this part, the end has not been milled flat or square, so I don't want to scribe it all the way down like I did for my center line. What I want to use is a square, and remember we're picking 2 sides to take all our measurements from, so we want to use the square on the same side. So we indicate that like that. We never want to switch to the other side halfway through our part, so we're going to lay it there. We're going to bring it up to where our little mark was. We'll use a scribe, and we'll cut across, and that will give us a nice indicated line. If you are doing this kind of thing and you see a square that looks like this, notice it has rust on it, there are nicks along the blade, there's some discoloration from heat. This is a book weight. Use it as a doorstop, it is absolute garbage. Take care of your squares. Even knocking it off a few thousandths can dramatically affect how your parts get transferred in. So we would do that for the 3 holes across here. And now since these are holes, we're often going to be center drilling them. So we'll need to use a punch. And this is just a sharpened, hardened piece of steel. It's got a 60-degree taper on the end. We'll put that on our cross indicators. Use a hard-faced hammer to put a little indentation, and that means that our drill bit will find this little center mark and become very accurate. Otherwise, the drill bit tends to wander around a little bit and can throw it off several thousandths. Make sure when you use a punch, you don't use a soft-face hammer like this one that's got nylon edges. It's a hard-faced hammer, so you get a nice sharp hit to it. We would continue down to do that to the 3 parts. If we had dimensions along this edge, we would then turn 90 put our layout fluid on the side, and mill from there.